Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Veterans Rant, Rattle, and Roll. I'm Sergeant First Class Retired David L. Parker, your host, and I have the extreme privilege, pleasure, and whatever word that won't come out of my mouth. We all understand being retired means I'm tired twice, so the mouth can't keep up, of hanging out with old Phillip Sharp today. How you doing, Phillip?
I'm doing all right, brother. Thanks for having me.
So where are you hiding at nowadays?
Well, I reside now in North Carolina. Warrenton, North Carolina, which is right on the Virginia border near I-85.
Well, I apologize. I was just out there. I went from North Virginia over to Fayetteville. I guess I came past your house-ish.
Yeah, well, I was living at Spring Lake just before here, which is just north of Fayetteville. Right. So, yeah, I know where you're at.
Now, you retired as a E7?
Yes.
All right, great. Tell us about your service. When did you go in? What brought you in the Army? You woke up one day and said, I want to be Hua?
Well, it wasn't in one day. For most of my upbringing, I just wanted to be a soldier. It just always appealed to me.
Awesome.
Especially when I went into junior high and high school, it just, I don't know, it just kept calling me, be a soldier. Be a soldier.
Come join the Army.
And my hearing was off then as it is now. It's all I could hear. Go in the Army. Go in the Army. It was always just a passion of mine to do for the longest time. I went to the Army in 1990 as an infantryman.
Right.
My whole career has been in the infantry, and I have no regrets about that whatsoever.
Did you make it to the sandbox for the dance in August of 90?
No, I was in Fort Ord, California at the time.
Hanging out in Seaside, California.
Yeah. Well, it was near Monterey. Seaside was there, and all those places. Our division was held in reserve in case North Korea wanted to act a fool, as they're prone to do.
Right.
Because the rest of our army was deployed to the Gulf at that time.
Right.
It was a tough spot for me to be in because I got to a unit where they all had been to Panama the year prior, and they got their CIBs, and they're boasting about their war stories. And here's the new guy, coming. All the new guys come along, and they give us hell for it. And I'm like, okay, well, here's our chance to deploy. Don't go. We see it all on TV. It starts, it's over before anybody knew what happened. The end.
Yeah. It seemed a little bit longer for guys like me who showed up there in August, but I get what you're saying. It was definitely ready, go, stop. What?
Right. Yeah. Well, because there was Desert Shield and then there was Desert Storm. During the Shield portion, we were doing training, memorizing Soviet tanks, how to shoot, we had laws then still in the Dragon, which I don't think they use those things anymore. Training up on all kinds of chemical warfare, and then we just didn't go. But when it kicked off, it was like, oh, it's over. It's pretty quick.
You're dead on the money. It was definitely like, wait, are we done? What happened?
Yeah, I know it was horrible. But
did that count?
Well, it was amazing. It was. To me, it was a really cool moment because I grew up most of my childhood listening to stories of Vietnam veterans and how they were treated and how many of them thought they weren't allowed to win the war over there in Vietnam. Their hands were tied. We weren't trying very hard to accomplish many things. I mean, this is according to them and what they're telling me.
Right.
And, we kind of left that conflict with our head low, and the Army suffered for a while. By the time I came in 1990, it was a better Army, and for a while was a really good Army. To me, that was like we just vindicated ourselves. We're not that ate up, politicized force that got torn to pieces in Vietnam. That we actually, showed what we were capable of as an Army and as a country. And it was like boom, right there on TV. And I loved how Schwarzkopf was the general then, and he was able to handle the press. He's kind of like the pre-version of Trump. He could just shut their mouths up in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Call them out on their stupidity, which many veterans in Vietnam had a very large distaste for the journalists in their day, making them out as they're all baby killers or out to eat the young and, all these atrocities or whatnot, and giving the Army the bad name, of course, and spreading that hatred back in the States. To me, 1990 was like a complete flip of that. The press was shown we're not the idiots they try to make us out to be. We're competent, we're capable, and the generals are actually standing up for us and getting things done. It was really pretty cool, and that was my initial entry into the Army. Really, it was right after Panama. I'm with these veterans from Panama and Vietnam veterans were still in the Army at that time too.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, and then that war kicked off, and it was over, and it was like, okay. That was in California.
You're right about that. We definitely didn't treat the Vietnam vets right, but I think that our generation of vets, me and you, everybody that Desert Storm, all the way to the operations and Nern Freeding and so on and so forth, we really owe a lot to those Vietnam vets because they went out of their way to make sure that when we came home on those airplanes, that nobody did that stuff. I mean, I remember getting off the plane and the whole area was just wall-to-wall Vietnam vets just standing there. And I think if somebody would have tried to protest us, it'd have been on like Donkey Kong. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And that was some of my favorite NCOs in the Army were Vietnam veterans at that time.
Yeah.
They had a love for the soldier, but they were no nonsense. They didn't love you till where they coddled you. They were rough. They were very, very strict on their discipline and what they wanted you to do as a soldier.
Right.
But at the same time, they didn't get just blown out of proportion over things like I see now in the Army. They're like, that's stupid. Move on. It was,
So your whole career, you were in the infantry. You started out at Fort Ord.
Yeah.
Tell me about your loop. What'd you do?
Well, after that, I went to, I did 20 years of service. So it's quite a bit of duty stations in between. I went to Cambo after that.
Nice.
With the 2nd 327, no slack battalion. I was in the scout platoon there.
I was in the 50 Deuce.
Yes. And so was I. My second time around, I was at the 3rd 50 Deuce, which I think doesn't exist anymore.
I was in 3rd to 50 Deuce also.
Get out of here. Yeah, I was in Bravo Company, the Bulldogs.
Wait a minute. I was in Bravo Company Bulldogs.
No. What year?
Well, let's see. I was there from 1985 to 87 and then back from 89 to 93 and then back again 2002 till
I want to say I was in the 50 Deuce from like 96 to 99.
So I just missed you. But yeah, I was a Bulldog all the way down there on 52nd Street.
Yes. But yeah, I did scouts, and scout platoon was like one of my favorite times of all in the Army.
Nice.
Because we could only take smart people for one, right?
Where'd you find them?
Yeah. Well, there's a few left in the battalion, but
okay.
There was, you had to be able to think for yourself. You operate in small teams most of the time. So you couldn't have people that just freaked out and didn't know what to do by themselves.
Did you guys still have the motorcycles?
No, we never had motorcycles when I was there.
I did in the 50 Deuce Scouts when I was there. Sergeant First Class Fleckenstein was the platoon sergeant. He was a President's 100, and we had those YZ 125s. We boogie through the woods to do our scouting. It was fun.
Yeah, that so would have been cool, but we were actually trying not to be seen, so it was a different approach.
All right. But so after Campbell, where'd you go, Phillip?
Over there, that was where did I go? I gotta put my memory back in check. Let's see.
Good luck.
I went to Korea right after that, and amazingly got assigned to the Pathfinder platoon, which I don't know if it's there now, but it was in Yongsan, Korea, in Seoul, attached to the 17th Aviation Brigade.
We believe you.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a pretty cool assignment because, again, small teams. We drove over. I got to see all the countryside. I didn't have a lot of the restrictions and curfews and all that other stuff. And if there was one, nobody paid attention to it anyway. And so I was, that was really, really cool. I got, my foreign wings was from Korea, which I did from a hot air balloon. Actually, it was
wow.
One of the most scariest things in my entire life.
Yeah, I look at those things here in Colorado Springs. We have like 5 of them every morning that we see on my walk that my wife and I take. And I'm like, nope, that's one thing I think I will say no to. So you had to literally get in that thing and wait for it to go up, seeing every bit, huh? And then jump.
Yeah. Well, Well, yeah, this is kind of a roll, but I'm just going to add this bonus for you. You go to the Korean, well, we did the Korean jump school, and they have the Korean recruits. They have some of them on detail. I'm not making this up.
I believe you 100%.
They're standing there, like 4 of them, no, 6 of them, I think, with helmets on, holding a mattress. And I'm like, what are they doing?
No.
And so we asked, I know you know where this is going. We asked the translators, our Katusas who were with us, hey, what in the world are they doing? They talked, they asked the questions. And apparently they were there to catch you in case your chutes didn't open, that they were supposed to over there and just catch you with this mattress. I'm thinking, this is your safety precautions. Whoo, boy, okay.
No, I was in Korea. I was in Korea 87, 88. I believe you 1,000%. The funniest thing I ever saw over there is a Korean Army platoon, Rock Army platoon.
Yeah.
And I guess they had done something wrong with the cleaning of the latrine. And their platoon sergeant had this like 8 guys outside. And they was making them climb a tree, and he had a big bamboo stick. That tree would only hold like 7 or 6 of them. You know what I mean? So when they would get pushed out by the other guys, he would beat the dog tar out of them with that bamboo stick all the way back up the tree, and they'd pull somebody else out so they could get away from getting beat. So a Korean with a mattress, I believe you 100%.
Yeah. But we get in the balloon, and we go up. It's unnerving. Yes, if you've ever jumped before, there's a prop blast. You exit the airplane, you have the engine noise going. You don't really see anything until you go out, unless you do like a chopper exit on like say a UH-60 or UH-1 or something.
Yeah,
you kind of, but it still seems a little more safe, secure. You're up in that balloon. All you hear is the wind, and you hear like a few creaking things. And then our jump master is a Korean guy, speaks no English whatsoever. That was a really great combination. We don't know what to do up in the stupid balloon. So he's like motioning at where you put the static line on. I'm like, okay, so we hook it up there, and I'm putting in the pin to secure the line. And they're smacking my hand. And so I'd smack his hand back. And I tried to put the pan in again. He smacked my hand. I'd smack his hand back. We went at this for about 3 or 4 times. And finally I got my pin. I'm like, I'm putting this in. I don't care what you say. And there's like no procedure. There's no like stand up, hook up, equipment check. None of that. It's just, he just kind of points to the exit, which is right in front of you. And it's like, I guess this means go, so we exit. And again, no prop blast. You don't feel the chute open. So you can count, I'm counting 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. I'm starting to look up, like, is the chute even opening? You don't feel it at all.
Yeah.
So you can hear the retainer bands on the back of your chute just popping off. It's that quiet. That was like the most unnerving jump I had ever done, ever.
Wow.
Yeah. So, wow.
So from Korea, obviously we've gotten through the roll part of this interview. Not. So what'd you go after Korea?
Korea's back to Campbell again, to the 35 Deuce, the Widowmakers. I was back in the line at that point, but I really enjoyed it. I was a squad leader of the line. I thought it was a really good squad. Good
nice.
Training. It was a good army, I think, for the longest time.
How many times do you think you road marched on Angels Road?
Oh, we road marched all the time. We'd road march, run. I mean, we'd wear before. And that was before we had the body armor. But we would wear like the flak vest and do PT in them.
Would stop absolutely nothing except you from dehydration. That guarantees you're going to dehydrate.
Yes, we just liked them because they were heavy and it made people feel bad. So we'd wear those.
Okay.
Do PT. PT wasn't to make you stronger. It was to make it suck. That was kind of the goal.
All right.
Make it work. See, after that, I went to be a drill sergeant at Fort Benning, and that was probably got to be some of the most dismal years of my life.
No sleep and all yelling.
Well, I didn't yell much, but man, sometimes it was necessary. And it was that was in 1999. I went there, and going into 2000, and the Army was starting to experiment with this whole view of how soldiers are treated, especially in the training environment. And they were
yes, because we all know that in a few years we're going to start going to combat forever, and it's very gentle.
Right. So there's this tension in training philosophies that I just happen to have to deal with going there. I'm from the older philosophy, of course.
Sure.
The newer one was like, don't don't yell too much. You can't do too many push-ups with them and all this other different stuff. And I'm just like, this is stupid, but whatever. I had to deal with that. And I ended up being a drill actually at 30th AG at one point, and that was worse. That was, I mean, you talk about wanting to like, suck start a pistol as a drill sergeant. 30th AG is kind of like one of those places. It's like, man, I hate it. It was such misery, absolute misery. No one likes it there. The drill sergeants don't like it there. The sergeants that lead the soldiers around don't like it there. The people who work in the building there, the civilians, they don't like it there.
Wow,
the
civilians don't like it
there. The recruits definitely don't like it there. It's just one, like if there's like a glimpse of, hey, this is a foretaste of hell, you better come to Jesus. Like, and it's 30th AG, that's what you would, is like, yeah, I don't want to go to hell. If this is a taste of hell, 30th AG, that's got to be it. It was absolutely horrible.
When you escaped hell, then where'd you go?
I went to where I wanted to go for a while, which was the 82nd at Fort Bragg. Ended up in that was the 2nd 325 White Falcons. Really good battalion. Colonel Haight was originally from, well, not originally, but he had been in the Ranger Battalion before, and he was a rare match for many infantry officers. He had intelligence. He knew how to think things out. He believed in his NCOs, and he wanted to really make that huge connection between the NCOs and the officer corps, because he was prior enlisted, actually, so that probably helped him too. But it was an awesome battalion. That's probably got to be one of the best units performance wise I think I'd ever been in, was that battalion. And that's when it was with them that we went to the invasion of Iraq, and that was what, 2003, I think. Yeah. 2003 we did the invasion of Iraq. After that, I got put out of the Army for being a single dad, and I had a 2-year break from the service. Didn't really want to leave, but I didn't have much options at the time. 14 years of service, got out, didn't do too well at it. Ended up getting back into the service 2 years later, went to Fort Drum, which felt like an eternity in itself too. I was there probably like, I want to say 5 years or something, which in comparison to other soldiers who have been there is less. That I'm probably like, on the least time span compared to some people who've been there like 7, 8, 9 years.
Oh, how about that? How about that Sergeant Major, 214 Infantry, that was a private at 214. He was there all the way to E6, went to drill sergeant for 3 years, came back as an E7, and stayed there till USAMA. Yeah. I mean, 22 years in the same battalion. What's that about?
That's crazy. I'm not necessarily against that sort of thing. It's just, I didn't like drum, so being there a long time wasn't cool for me. But if you liked it, and you could probably stay as long as you want to, because it's not many people line up to go to that post.
When I was at Fort Hood, after 3 years at Fort Hood, I called Branch and said, hey, can my 11 Bravo butt go back to drum? I had orders in the morning.
Yeah, it wasn't hard.
No. Cool.
But when I went back in the Army, I put Campbell or Bragg or drum for the sake of my wife, to be close to home, because the Army was new to her. So I was like, these bases are the closest, one of these three. I was hoping for Campbell or Bragg, preferably Bragg. And right, I mean, like the neck, like you said, like instantly, Trump, here you go. Yeah. I was like, man.
Yeah, drum's the best kept nightmare in the Army. Secret nightmare. Secret, no. Climb to Glory was a great, I still love today, the division. I love 10th Mountain. I love what they stood for. The area was just rough. Yeah, area was rough. Some really good soldiers I was with there too, and that's the whole Army. All 20 years, even in units where it's like I'd rather die than be here another day. The soldiers, we always, had that good connection, and that's always been a benefit throughout the whole thing. Yeah. And then I finished out my career at Fort Jackson on a range detail. I had a year to retire, and they were like, hey, I got an idea. Let's move you to another base. What? They didn't want to hear it. They sent me anyway. So I did the range for a little bit.
for the recruits, which is like another drill sergeant flashback nightmare for me. I'm like, thank you all for,
Let me end on. Thank you for letting me end on a note.
Yeah. So, and then eventually I ended up doing the whole staff duty every once in a while until I got out, sort of thing. And then I got out. So that was 2012. Overall, I loved the Army most of the time.
Right.
I didn't, and this, of course, this could be in the rant section. There's a time where I was really
feel free to rant. Let's go.
Yeah. the rant is having been in over that span of time and seeing what the Army was and what it was becoming by the time I got out was absolutely heartbreaking.
Oh, man. Amen to that.
Leaders are absolutely, they're not trained very well. And even if they were, they have no leadership capability. There was no ethos to the leadership, I guess. I'm trying to find a big, cool word, and I'm really falling short right now. But they just didn't know how to act like leaders. They didn't know how to care for their men. They didn't know how to think about the mission. They weren't team players. They would sell out everybody in a heartbeat to get ahead or not do something. And
2004 to like 2008, we lost a lot of good people. They just bailed because of so many people. So I know what you're talking about. You turn around and you're like, wait a minute, where'd all the good guys go?
well, that's the thing that really bothered me too is I'm talking about guys that's like, it's not like they like the Army. I'm talking about guys that they were like me. They loved the Army. It's all they wanted to do. And it was like, everything's about the Army. I'm going to do 30 years and you can't stop me. Those are the guys that I saw leaving.
Right. 2004 to 8, we lost all those guys you're talking about.
Well, and even beyond that, up into when I got out, I'm like, so-and-so left? What? No way. That's impossible. I would never, ever dream that he'd be like, I'm out of here. But that's what the Army had become. And it's infuriating me to see how really efficient we were and how well trained we were and how just cohesive we were. And it has became, I'm just going to say it, a political mess. It became a political hotbed area. And, by the time I got out, it was Obama's Army. And whatever you think of him as a president, all I knew is as a commander in chief, he sucked. He ruined his Army. And when I left with the honest opinion that we were a paper Army, that if any enemy wanted to actually stand up to us and trade casualties with us, we would lose. We did not have the training to do it. The only thing that gave us was an advantage was our technology, which that gap is quickly closing, by the way. We had no discipline, no leadership, no fighting spirit. And our leaders, especially in Washington, had no clue what to do with us.
Right. Well, every time they turned around, he was firing some general.
Yeah. Good ones.
Yeah. I don't like you because you'll stand up to me.
Well, or whatever it is. So it's kind of heartbreaking to me. I loved the Army since before I went in it. I enjoyed doing everything through it. And then as I leave, I see that it was very heartbroken, lack of leadership. And then I hated, especially when we would do the deployments and the soldiers would just get gypped on like medals, promises. And I saw who got these things. I saw who got the medals. And it's like, did you even leave the fob? Didn't you hide in the stairwell during that firefight and you're getting the V device, really? But these guys up here, they don't get so much as, AAM. I mean, it was absolutely infuriating the way I saw things play out. Like the cowardly and the scoundrels were the ones getting promoted and getting the medals. The actual good soldiers were getting nothing. And that just absolutely, today, even now, I have better control of my rage. But I hope that if I meet some of those people that I know who are paper pushing their valor and taking that from their soldiers, I hope I can restrain myself, really.
No, don't worry. If they see you, they won't go near you. I've run across a couple of paper bronze stars winners, people that I actually know a staff sergeant who got a bronze star in 2003 for delivering ice to towers.
All right, then. That's great.
Yeah,
I know soldiers who delivered ammunition under fire to towers and got zero.
Right.
Nothing.
I knew a squad leader got ARCOM with V device for running away from a firefight. Not even kidding.
Wow. Is that because of his running skills? PT.
No,
what?
one of his guys
You know,
got wounded. One of his guys got wounded,
Right.
and the squad leader medevaced the wounded private, never
Right.
to return to the firefight.
So he just left with them.
Yeah, I'm like,
you
I'm
see-
taking this guy and I'm out of here.
Wow. I'm
I
going to
just-
go get help. You all hang on and never come back. Wow. That's
Right. And 2 months ago, I was sitting in Virginia talking with somebody that I respect deeply, and he was just like, okay, well, let's not talk about that right now, shall we?
I
Well,
know,
those are some legitimate rants, Phillip, legitimate rants. Now, you're a fun... Go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's a rant, and there's probably a million things I could rant on, but honestly, I've come to grips with a lot of that, and I just have to. I told myself I gotta let this stuff go, or it would just eat me to pieces. You know?
But you're a funny guy, so give it to me. Let's have it. Let's roll on the floor. Give me a no shit there I was story.
You know, I was thinking about that, reading your instructions. You know, figure I would get a set of instructions.
It was suggestions, and you know it. I even used the word suggestion.
Yes, you did. But I was thinking, you know, there's 20 years of service. You know, you're like, hey, say something funny. I'm like, I'll draw a blank, right?
Right, something funny.
Because I mean, usually
4 Korean soldiers with a mattress. That's funny.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been funny if they tried to catch me. I'd be like, no.
Trust me, you reminded me of my funniest memory of Korea, which I'm not sure if I should ever even share it on the show. Some people might not find it funny, but it was. I mean, this is your role. You roll on. Come on, Phillip. Come on.
All I know is I was thinking, you know, because usually when you're with somebody, you remember things you all did together.
Yeah.
And you all might be dying laughing, but others are like, what are they talking about? You know, and a lot of times the stories we can tell one another, it's not like we saved them up. It's just it prompts our memories.
Yeah.
And then there's some things, you know, I'm thinking I don't want to share them because I don't want to encourage such activity I was stupid enough to be involved in. And it'd probably be hilarious to some people, but it's stuff I got to move beyond. But I did come up with a story. I think.
Come on, give it to me.
This. So I was at Fort Campbell. I don't even remember the year. That's how old I'm getting. But I was going to BNOC, which was at the base at the time, and BNOC was. I know you probably know this, but for those who don't, I don't know what it's called now, but it was the school you went to become E6.
Advanced. I think it's called advanced leadership now. Senior leader is what ANOC used to be. So I think it's advanced now. Doesn't matter.
But I think they might have even changed that now because officers get promoted by changing the names of programs. But
and you know, generals make money by changing uniforms.
That's right. Has the safety band been updated to rebuy or, you know, for PT?
And they came out with that new pink dress uniform from World War II.
Wow. Well, I'm wondering, I better not say this out loud because someone might hear like, that's a great idea, but I can picture like the COVID mask being like the reflected yellow for PT safety, you know.
You're wrong. You're wrong for that.
Yeah, I know. but you know, somebody might hear that. It's like, you know.
Okay, if I see that, in the Army Times, soldiers now wearing reflective masks for PT, it's gonna be a true sharp complaint.
Yes, it is.
There's a good play on words right there.
But what's sad is if I thought of it, you know, someone else is thinking of it. It's.
I loved wearing the PT belt in combat. I'm like, people are legitimately trying to kill us, and we're wearing a PT belt.
Oh,
who'd have thought this up? Anyway,
would have. But
so
anyway,
that's a funny thought.
I'm at BNOC though in Fort Campbell at the time, trying to get my E6, and at that point they had everybody from the base going there for BNOC. So the different MOSs were mixed together, but they separated us into different platoons.
Sure.
Get our different classes or whatnot, which I think it's now more centralized or something. At you go to your specific MOS or something like that. But we were together there, and we had this guy that joined up. All the infantry guys were together, and this guy was kind of thrown in with us, and he was a former ADA, Air Defense Artillery. And the reason he was thrown into our group was he re-enlisted to change his MOS to the infantry.
Ah.
So the Army figured, I know, we'll just fling him into B-Knock and he'll instantly be prepared to lead infantry soldiers at his next unit.
Right.
Sounds legit to me, right?
Download leadership via osmosis.
Shake him up real quick, throw him out there, and you're in charge. But so that was their plan. I was like, okay, whatever, I guess.
All right.
But the thing that made it bad is the guy was just very verbose, run off at the mouth, braggart with no limits. And he was always better at you in everything that was done. He had to always prove, I'm better than you. And he just talked smack all the time. And we were just telling him, man, you can't have that attitude when you show up because it's not going to work for you. But I'm better than you. I'm da-da-da-da.
One-upmanship to the extreme, huh?
Yeah, he's a really excitable guy. But so I just remember one time we were going to the mount site there, which was at that time, the mount site was just the leftover buildings from wherever, and we trained in them, right? We're going there. We're in a truck, which that was a deuce and a half, not that big muscle thing now, right? So we're heading to the base, and we just had received these M40 masks at B-Knock, all right, which that's the mask y'all have now. Yeah. Whereas before we had the M17.
Dude, don't say y'all.
Yeah,
I've been out long enough to grow
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to list, because not everybody's been as long as I have. And we used to have the M17 mask. You had the filters on both sides of your face, a part of the mask. You didn't have nothing protruding from your face.
Yeah.
The M40 mask, of course, you got the canister. You screw it in. You could do it on either side, depending on which side you fired from, and that's your filter. Well, at that time we had just gotten those masks. Fortunately, many of us had already received them and trained on them intensively to know how to use them. But this guy had never seen them before. So he's sitting in the truck, and for once, he admits he doesn't know how to do something.
Oh, wow.
How do I use this thing? I've never used this before. And instinctively, someone chimed in, and we instinctively knew where it was going. The minute the guy said, he's like, hold on. Or the guy goes, that canister is for extended use in an NBC environment, which I think they even changed that name now, right? CBN, I don't know, whatever, right? The canister is like for long use in the NBC environment, in the chemical environment. And in fact, the unit has, usually the unit like authorizes you to put it in there because they're so expensive. So you don't, I don't have mine in my mask because, for quick uses, the mask is sufficient. And of course, we all chimed in. Oh yeah, that's right. We don't wear ours either. And of course, him wanting to be better than us. Well, I'm not going to put mine in either.
Well, all right.
And somehow we were all able to keep a straight face, not giggle in our breath, not laugh. But we all had that look. We were giving the glance at each other like, did he just buy this? We're all looking, and sure enough, and he was like happy, like, I am finally back on top again. I know what I'm doing with my equipment. So we get to the mount side, we set up a defense, and we're defending first. We're in this building. We have to defend this building against the other platoons, and we build our defense for the day. And of course, the scenario involves the chemical attack from the enemy, because this is, again, still in the 90s, right? So we're expecting this chemical attack. It's going to be actual CS. And he's a squad leader for the day. And this adds to me the just humor that is received. But he decides his section of the building, he wires off the entire thing, like every window, every door, multiple layers of just concertina wire everywhere, trip flares everywhere. And we're like, dude, how are you going to get out? He wasn't concerned about getting out. He's like, I'm not going to get out. I'm not going to let them in. But if you have to fall back, or if we have to reinforce one another, you trapped, man. You can't move. But he didn't want to hear it. He's thinking, if you can't get to me, I win. And I've seen that when I would opt for against other support units. A lot of times they had that mentality to where they would surrender their entire perimeter, but like surround, like say the headquarters or something, because they're guarding something they don't want taken, and they would rather concede the battlefield than to lose that one thing. I think he kind of had that idea in his head. So he just wires up everything, and so it's like, if you don't get in, I win. That's his attitude, right? And I'm like, man, real life, they'll just blow the building up. I mean, no big deal. But okay, we let him go. Well, that night, of course, 2:30, dark 30 in the morning, the best time to attack somebody. The sentries start nodding off. Everybody's freezing, just keeping warm. And all of a sudden, you hear the canister goes off of the CS. I mean, and back then, again, it was the Army that did not care, about the feelings of the people training. So it wasn't like they did one. They launched like 30 CS grenades and just hit the stupid building inside, right? So we're in there. We get our gear on, and we're waiting for the attack. We're getting engaged. We shoot back, but then you hear off in the room next to us. And he just starts screaming and wailing, my mask don't work. And here's the thing is, we all knew why it didn't work. But we still
killing me, Phillip. I think you're winning right now.
Jerk, right? So we were like, clear and seal your mask again. It's not working. Dude, take it off and shake it. Just giving him a stupid advice.
Take it off
and
shake it.
Okay. And then he's got tears just coming all down his eyes.
Hey, I can relate.
Everywhere.
I've got tears over here.
And then to compound to his problem, remember, he wired himself into where you can't get out. So now he's fighting with his own wire, trying to find a way to escape the building that we warned him he needed to do in the first place. So it was like extra justice. Like, there you go, buddy. And what's worse is he confessed this the next day that he thought he was superior to everybody because he got his mask on first. And this is him confessing this. I thought, hey, I put my mask on first. I'm good to go. And then all of a sudden, he just started in the CS.
Wow, that was probably the best roll I've heard so far. I mean, the Marine that saluted for both people, that was a pretty good one. But that right there, that's some funny stuff right there. That's some funny stuff.
I know.
Hey, Phillip, the whole reason we do these things is to try to share these funny stories, these great stories, to make connections with our brothers and sisters that are in dark places and thinking about ending their enlistment in this world. So if you could say something to maybe help somebody not to become part of the 22 and help us stop 22, what would your message be, my friend?
So the thing with the suicide is it's heartbreaking in many ways. And I know I have known of the number of soldiers who have taken their own life exceed those who died in our deployments. For me,
a long shot.
Yeah, and it's like it just keeps the tally growing, and it's like, at least for me, I'm sure many think this way. It's very devastating. It's like, wow, you went all through that stuff with us, and you survived, and you came back, and now you just ended it, and it seems like a huge blow. Like, what in the world just happened here? There could be a million reasons why. I mean, I even have my own theories as to maybe why it might work, at least with people of my mentality. I'm speaking from an industry perspective, not because, I used to hate everybody else, but not because I think, not because, I don't like you. It's just that's my experience. My whole career, 98% of the people I worked with were other infantrymen, and it's just people I worked with. So, I mean, I think amongst many of us, and this could apply to many a soldier, I imagine, it ain't like we're craving death like a samurai maybe, but we're not afraid of it.
Right.
And it's not like we're not afraid of it, but we're okay with the idea of it, if that makes any sense. So there's already that going for you. It's like you knew, hey, join this job. We're going to throw grenades at you and shoot at you. And like, that's your job. And there's times where they'll be like, you'll have to be like, leave shelter and run into that. What do you think? I'll do that. Right. So, I mean, already there's an element where, death, it ain't like you want it, but you've come to terms with it, if that makes some sense.
Of course.
But then there's this idea of, I think, and this is my observation, and maybe this will speak to some people, but we have an idea that there's death before dishonor. We have a higher view of being necessary, having a purpose, and that you don't fail in that purpose. That's dishonorable. It's better to die than to fail in your purpose. And that can be played out in the military. Of course, there's that huge mentality. I mean, we've all probably heard the expression death before dishonor. Some take that to a greater extreme than others. And that's what allows some guys to say, maybe, go, I'll cover you. And that's it for them. Or they jump on that grenade to save everybody else, because that's kind of the mentality, right?
Right.
You don't think of it. That's just the mentality that you're in. Now, so you come out a lot, you can still be in the military. This happened, but I know for a lot of them, you've come out of the military and it's like purpose has been ripped out from under your feet. It's a totally different paradigm. You see even more so mediocrity being rewarded in the civilian sector.
Right. No, you're right on that.
And there's no camaraderie. There's no cohesive purpose. You don't see people helping one another in any fashion. It's every person for themselves. But then there's the personal relationships, because you come back, say, from a deployment, and everyone wants you to be what you were before, but you're changed. Your wives or your parents or your community, your family, whoever it is, are like, you come back and it's like, okay, let's go back to what we were before, but you'll never go back to before. That's just not going to happen, right? There's obviously a change, right?
Yep, absolutely.
I think a lot of us struggle with this idea of, maybe we start asking that question, would it have been better if I died over there? Or if I'm causing such trouble to everybody's life, maybe I don't need to be around. Because again, sometimes we feel suicide is a selfish act because it hurts us directly. But I think, especially with soldiers, I think there is a case where they're doing it selflessly for the benefit of others. I think is one of the things of why it's done. Maybe one of the internal motivations. I'm not a psychologist. I can't, stake my name on that, but I believe there's some substance to that.
Sure.
Comparing our army with other armies, I see a similar mentality with the Foreign Legion. They have problems with them committing suicide, leaving the Legion, because their whole mentality is you're there to die in, glorious battle. You don't do that, you failed, right? So it's that I failed thing. Of course, you have like I said, the extreme samurai. I'm going to die no matter what, and they just make it happen. That's to the extreme, but I think the mentality is the same. And I think some of it is, if we need to relearn to repurpose our own head. One is that thinking we have to understand that's not required of us now. We may still have to use that in the future, and you have that, but you don't have to. That's not your life anymore. We can rechange and remold. You're still you, but you can adapt to a different circumstance than the mentalities you're used to. And some of it is the mentality of ourselves as veterans, where first off, it's, I don't need your help. No civilian can tell me what to do about what I've been through. And I can truly understand that mentality. Nobody understands me. We isolate ourselves often unintentionally, to where an isolation, I think, is a big thing that leads to thoughts of suicide.
Absolutely. The connections we had in the military were so strong.
Yeah.
And we get out and they're gone. Our brothers and sisters got to reach out to each other and build those back up. Hold on to something. That's a good insight. So now that you've been retired for a few years, what's new for you? What are you up to with your time?
Well, when I got out in 2012, my my whole goal in life was just to have my own piece of land up in the hills of West Virginia, which is where I'm originally from.
Right.
And just grow, have my own little small farm. And you leave me alone, I'll leave you alone, sort of thing, type of pact with life. And that was my goal in life. It just didn't pan out. When I had bought the land and that was my idea, I was still in the Army. But my last deployment to Iraq, I had 3 of them. My last deployment to Iraq, I seriously injured my back. And I still have problems with it, to where I couldn't do the work I was planning on really doing to the capacity of my physical labor. My machinery kept breaking down. The weather was, those record years where something bad is happening. And there it is, right? And just nothing just really, it didn't go the way I wanted to. After that, I ended up being pulled into the ministry I didn't know I was going to be a pastor at the time.
Yeah.
But I knew that God was doing a work in me to pursue getting credentialing as a minister, even at the time I didn't want to. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I didn't, it wasn't my goal.
Right.
I wasn't going to pursue that, but it's like God just kept putting it there to do over and over again. And I began to realize that I'm actually happy doing this ministry.
Okay.
It gave me kind of a purpose in a way. I went from one army into the God's army, and he's a better commander in chief. He actually cares about me. And even in my death, I mean, he's got my back. It restructured my purpose. And now I can immerse myself into something that I see pays dividends and that builds those connections. And I pastor at the Warrenton Church of God in North Carolina, with a congregation here. I pastor them. I don't know how good I'm doing. I'm terrified of it most of the time, nonetheless.
I understand that. That makes sense.
Well, it's terrifying because to me it's a serious calling. I mean, I'm daring to stand up in front of people and to explain to them the truth that is God's scripture.
Yeah.
And you don't want to take that, lackadaisically. That's something that you have to be kind of sound in. You don't just go up there and just spout out your opinions.
Right.
This is the word of God, and you have to treat it accordingly.
I think I'd rather trust the 4 guys with the mattress than have to do what you
do. Yeah. The 4 guys with the mattress, right? But and then of course I host a podcast called Rage of the Age, which I usually get guests on and talk with them like you're doing. And I talk about politics or history or economics or religion sometime, things like that. And just, I'm a conservative, philosophically speaking. So a lot of my viewpoints will come off from that angle.
Okay. Makes sense.
But I don't, I'm not averse to having a guest who's absolutely contrary to that, as long as they're willing to have a dialogue, Yeah. If it's a screaming match, I can easily hit the "you're off" button as quick as anybody. But
let's see, where's that button on my screen?
Yeah. Oh, there it is. I found it. Boom. But yeah, that's what I've been doing now. And my whole thing is just, I don't know. It's like I've lived 3 lifetimes, 4 lifetimes maybe over my time. I'm 48. That's it. But in my head, it's like, growing up all through till you're like 18, that's like another lifetime. That takes forever, right? Even though it's 18 years, it's forever, right? I go into the Army, and that's a whole nother life, right until I had that break in service. And then when I went back in, it's like I was living a whole nother life again. And now here I am doing this. It's a long time of reflection of different things going on. I tell you.
But you keep on going. Phillip 4.0 ain't so bad.
4.0.
4 lifetimes, right?
I suppose that's what it feels like. It's one life, but when I think about all the like all the memories of things that have gone on, it's like, wow, I can't remember. I can't believe I used to be doing that, and I remember when this happened, and I remember when this event took place, and to me, it's like that was last week, but like, oh, that was actually 20 years ago. Oh, okay, but but I'm in a spot, I think, where God wants me to be. And that's the best place to be, is to be doing this. And to me, because of my particular approach, I would definitely say to any veterans, I honestly believe that if God get a hold of your life, suicide will not look as enticing as it once did.
Good message. Well, everybody, I want to tell everybody thanks for tuning in. Phillip, this has been a blast, dude. I don't think I've laughed this hard in a good couple of years. I mean, had to lean away from the microphone, cover my face. I'm crying so dang hard. Felt like I was in the CS gas chamber with you of that building. Yeah. And then, of course, the 4 guys with a mattress. That's what I'm naming this podcast. Sergeant First Class Retired, Phillip Sharp, and the 4 guys with a mattress. That's clickbait right there, buddy. Everybody's going to listen to you. Hey, once again, this is Veterans Rant, Rattle, and Roll. Thank you very much for your time, Phillip. Thanks, everybody, for watching the episode. And, hey, if you're in a dark place, reach out to us. Reach out to Phillip. He's a pastor. He ain't hard to find. Maybe you come on a show and rage about something. Do something. Make a connection, all right? But for now, this is Veterans Rant, Rattle, and Roll. Sergeant First Class Retired Parker. I'm out.